Welcome everyone to PhlattLine. I'm your host, Flat McLean, and today we have a special guest with us. KayDee Rowland is with us from Utah. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, you're welcome. KayDee, thanks for joining the show. So go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 27 years old. I'm born and raised here in Utah. I guess I can just start off.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing in my life that really was significant was I was about 4 years old and I got diagnosed with cancer. It was acute lymphoblastic leukemia, so ALL. I went through 2.5 years of chemo, lost all of my hair, my eyebrows, my lashes, everything. But yeah, it was a hard time for my family, really, just all of us. But everyone kind of came through. We had a lot of support from outsiders during that time, so that was really nice. I don't really know what to say about that event. If you have any questions about it, I don't know. Feel free to ask them. I don't know. But I was able to go to this camp for cancer kids and their siblings. I was able to do that throughout my treatment, and my older sister was able to go with me. I guess that's another thing. I have an older sister. She's 30, and it's just the two of us with our parents, who are now divorced.
Oh, you've lived a life already.
Yeah.
So KayDee, I have some really interesting questions for you now. A lot to do with your cancer and kind of what that experience was like. So please tell us, you said, how old were you again? 4. That's what I thought. How did it happen, and how did you find out about it?
So I was 4, so my mom was giving me a bath that night, and she found, I don't think my lymph node came out yet, but I definitely had a bump in my abdomen, and it freaked her out. So she called my grandma, asked if we could drop off my sister, and then we went to the hospital. From there, I don't really remember. I remember fighting the doctors because they tried putting me under because they had to remove it, and I fought them on that. I remember that. And so they were able to get it out to do a test on it, and I think maybe the next day or two they called back and said it was cancer. And pretty much immediately after that I started treatment. So we found it early, so it was very quick. Not very quick, but we found out very quick.
Do you suppose so I guess I'm not familiar with all the different types of cancers. Is it a cancer that can come back? Is it a cancer that would, be life-threatening, or what kind of cancer was it?
So leukemia is more of a blood cancer. So it attacked my white blood cells. So the blood cells that kind of fight back anything in your immune system. The cancer was attacking those good blood cells. For it to come back, I've been in remission for 20 plus years. So for it to come back, I don't think it will. But there is always that chance for cancer anyways. And that is kind of a fear that's always in the back of my mind is, oh my God, what if I have cancer again? And I don't think it's hereditary, so I can't pass it on to my kids, is what I asked my mom that, and she asked the doctors, and they said no. So that's good. So I hope my kids don't get it.
So that's a struggle at an early age. Can you tell us, so when you had the cancer, did that change the way your childhood was, or after you've gone in remission, you said you did the chemo for about 2 years, and would you say after you were 6, you kind of had a little bit normal childhood, or was it a little bit more fearful, or what kind of childhood was that?
Yeah. So once I finished treatment, I was about 6 or so. Um, and I guess throughout treatment, I was still kind of able to go to school. It kind of just depended on where I was at in it, like if I was really sick or if I wasn't able to be around other kids because of the germs, then I would stay home. But I did kind of miss out on a lot of school. So that was kind of like rough, and that did kind of set me back when I was able to like be put back into classes. So after treatment, I did go to a lot of doctors. I did a lot of testing for myself. I was put into resource to help me with school because I was kind of behind. Childhood, I don't remember a whole lot of, and I think that was also part of the treatment. Is it was traumatic, and there was a lot of like chemicals that was in my body, so it kind of screwed up my brain chemistry. But so school was kind of hard throughout, well, always.
Thanks for sharing it. What did it do to your brain chemistry? That you kind of mentioned that. How did it affect you, and is it still?
So it affected me because it kind of like rewired my brain. So some people, they remember things, and their brain can like put it somewhere, and then they think of it and they're able to like pull that back to them. And I'm not able to do that. So I can like learn things, and it just takes me a little bit longer to like kind of remember it and everything. I hope I'm like explaining this right and like doing a good job explaining my story. I've never really talked about it like this.
Well, I hope that you feel a little bit comfortable doing it. So again, I like to tell people it's a safe space to share. So, you know, so after you've gone through remission for a couple of years, you went to your I guess restorative classes. And
so through elementary, I would leave class for like an hour or so, and I would go to a different classroom, and we would work on mostly math, because math is hard. But we would just work on things that I was struggling in. It was just like an extra class to help me. And then in like middle school and high school, they had classes specifically for kids who were in resource. So kids who were just like slower learners. Sometimes it was kids who were just bad at school, so they were rebellious, they missed a lot of classes, they were just behind. But it was really nice. So for kids who are in resource, who don't feel like they need to be don't feel bad for being in resource, it's actually very helpful. I was able to get on an IEP for school, so that helped too. And even after high school, I was able to keep my IEP for college. And I used that for a little bit, which was helpful to get me into the swing of how college classes worked and all the testing in college too.
So KayDee, tell us a little bit now, since we've shifted to college, high school, college. What did your journey look like from there? Did you have any desires, any pursuits that you wanted to go into? How did that look?
Yeah, so we'll jump back a little bit. So about, I want to say 5th grade, I joined ice skating lessons. And that kind of really took off for me. And my mom told me if I wanted to get my own skates, I had to stick with it for at least a year. And I bet she was eating her words as she was buying me those skates, because now it's a thing. It's been about 18 years later. I'm a figure skater. So I did that through elementary, middle school, high school. I do it a little bit still now. So that was kind of my journey. High school, middle school, and high school were pretty normal. I come from a military family. So my dad got deployed twice in middle school for me. They were short deployments because he was in the Air Force. So they are significantly shorter. He was gone for about 6 months probably closer to 7 months once, and then probably 3 months another time. So those were always harder times, but I also took advantage of it as a child because my dad was gone. My poor mom, I was so rebellious.
And it was just you and your sister, correct? Yeah. So I bet you had a bunch of fun times there. That's funny. So figure skating, you do that now? Do you teach it? Are you on a team? Are you in a league? I don't know how that works. Is that a club thing, or how does that?
Yeah. So for right now, I'm just like doing individual skating. I am a part of the Oval Figure Skating Club out in Kearns. I am one of the OG members there. My mom and I kind of started it along with a couple other of my friends. In high school, I was a part of a competitive synchro team. And synchro is when you're on the ice with 16 other girls at the same time doing the same program. Your feet have to sync up, your moves have to sync up. It's really tricky, it's really hard, but it is so rewarding and so much fun. So I did do the team aspect for a little bit.
How many hours to practice things take for you?
When I was heavy in my training days, I was there pretty much every day after school until about 9 o'clock when the place shut down and I had to go home. And then after that, I was kind of like, after I graduated, it got a little trickier because life kind of set in. I had to get a job. I was going to college. But I was still able to manage to skate. And I was probably still skating about 2 hours a day. There was another question, but I don't remember what it was.
Just the practice times.
Just the practice. Yeah. So for me, I practiced in college probably about 2 hours a day. In high school, it was probably about 4 hours a day. If you want to make it into the Olympics, it needs to be probably about 8 hours a day or so, or a lot more. And then you're also doing like off ice training too. So it gets very, very heavy into the training, and a lot of your time is dedicated to being at the ice rink and skating.
Okay, KayDee. Are you wanting to go to the Olympics and be a figure skater in the Olympics?
I am not. So I'm 27. I'm a little bit past that. And even if I wanted to back in high school when I was heavy into it, it was never a desire of mine because competing. So I did compete with a team, and then I competed individually as well. And I just put a lot of pressure on myself. And then I had 2 coaches who were also kind of like, they put a lot of pressure on me as well. And it was just a lot. So I never wanted to really do that because I knew it was a lot of mental thing. It was a mental game, and physically too. It's a lot. Like when I was training, I hurt myself so much. Not ankle. I have hurt my ankle, but never by figure skating. It was either knee or back. So I've torn my MCL, and I had a slight tear in my meniscus at the same time. I've pulled so many leg muscles. I've pulled back muscles. I've had pinched nerves. I've had ribs pop out of place.
What's that?
Falling. Yeah, I just had like one bad fall. I was skating backwards and I fell onto my hips. Well, it fell onto my butt, but it was like the back, and just my rib back, just part of it kind of popped out. And I went to the chiropractor and he put it back in, so it was nice. But it's definitely hard on your body.
Interesting. I see the figure skaters and I see what they do, and they do a lot. They do a lot of work, a lot of, like you said, synchronization and things like that. And it's kind of neat, and that discipline. Do you feel it made you a little bit more disciplined in school, in work, and things like that?
I think it did. With school and works, I just know like I have to work to get things done. My discipline towards skating has definitely become less and less. I think I'm just a little bit tired of it, and I'm just not competing or training as hard, so I don't feel the need to be there. But it has definitely helped me build up a good ethic and just kind of show up for the things I need to get done.
A question that I love to ask is, do you, at this point in your life, feel that you are a successful person?
Yeah, I would say that I am successful. I'm in a healthy relationship, and I'm very thankful for that. I don't currently have my own place. We moved back in with my dad, but it is to save money for our future house, and so we are doing that. So that's nice that we're able to do it. And I do have a nice, steady, stable job, so I am thankful for that. So it's like I don't have millions, but I have a good life, and I'm thankful for it because I'm able to still skate. I'm able to go out and do other things with my life. I'm able to travel, and I think that's what makes you successful. And yeah, I'm happy too. That's something not everyone can say.
Okay, I like that. So now tell us, going into this phase, you feel successful. You are successful. What would you say would be the most challenging experience that you've had in your life? And tell us the occurrence around it.
Challenging experience in my life. Honestly, I'm not quite sure about that. One thing that would be challenging would be coming from a not so healthy relationship, so from like a toxic relationship into a healthy one, which is difficult. Which it's nice, but sometimes it's difficult because you have to unlearn some of your coping mechanisms, and even when you were in a toxic relationship, you do get some of that toxic behavior, and you have to unlearn that, and that is kind of challenging. It's one thing that I've been doing. I feel like because I was in one, but now I'm not, and I'm still kind of unlearning some of those toxic behaviors.
Do you find I guess those behaviors to be a challenge not only to you but to your current partner and what y'all are trying to build?
Yeah, like it's gotten a lot better because we've been together for about 4 years now, and he's a wonderful supporter, and he helps me with things. And he also points out some of the things that I do. He's like, "Hey, I don't like that. Like, can you like change that?" I was like, "Oh, like sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that." And so that's always nice to have that partner there, be like, "Hey, you did this. I don't like that." And that's one thing that we have really good is a good communication base, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And what would you consider to be your most rewarding experience in life, and what are the circumstances around that?
A rewarding thing is probably getting a hang or getting control of my mental health. So I was in high school, I was kind of diagnosed with bipolar. I don't know if that was true or if I was just trying to get ahead of it because I knew my dad had it and my grandpa had it, and I was like, well, I must have it. But I don't know if that was really true, or if I just didn't know how to regulate my emotions correctly. But now, as I've gotten older, in 2020, I decided to take control of it, and I was like, I want to get my mental health under control. And I want to be happy, and I wanted to because I didn't really love myself during that time. I didn't love my body or just anything, and I was like, I don't like feeling this way. I want to get better. And so that was challenging, but it was also rewarding because now I'm on the other side. 2 years later, I feel just so happy. I can say I love myself. I have a good relationship with myself. I can look in the mirror and I like what's looking back at me. And now I have enough in my cup that it's flowing over, and I'm able to share that with other people. And that's really rewarding.
That's beautiful. What kind of guided you in the direction of feeling that self-confidence, and what was the change point in your life that guided you to saying, I am a beautiful person. I I'm not this label, or this is me?
A lot of it is probably, so I got with my now fiance. I got with him before I took control of my mental health, and he saw me as this most beautiful person ever, and like he just loved me. And I think that's what really kind of sparked it, was, well, he loves me, like why can't I love me? Like someone else just loves me. And so he was kind of the supporter, the inspiration I needed to get me to want to be better. And then I also kind of realized, because I was on medication, that I had a lot of brain fog. I had a hard time like holding a conversation. I noticed that, and I was like, I'm kind of a boring person to talk to right now. Like I have a hard time holding a conversation, and I didn't really like that. So it kind of just spiraled to, what can I do to be better?
Interesting. Do you think that you mentioned this when you were 4, that it kind of affected your brain chemistry? Is that the fog that you're referring to, or is that something totally different?
It might be part of the fog. Not entirely sure, but I think the medication was also a part of it. I was on Adderall and like lithium for my bipolar. I was on sleeping medication, which I had been on for years prior to Adderall, because everyone's like, well, was it your Adderall? And I was like, no. So I had problems sleeping as a child. So I think it was just like all the medication, and then I decided to get off of it, and that honestly helped a whole lot. And I started just kind of meditating and everything, and just kind of figuring out who I am, which helped.
Well, I will say this. You host a good conversation.
Thank you.
So you're doing a good job. You're welcome. So lastly, I want to ask, well, I guess not last. What are your plans and goals now, like moving forward? What's your projection and your trajectory now?
Like a personal goal?
Yeah, just life. You as a being.
You as a being. My goals. Okay, well, I'm gonna be honest. I got my associates, and I was like, I'm done with school. So I got it, and I'm honestly proud of it, because not a whole lot of people in my family had their associates, but they were able to go off and do other things. Like my dad was in the military, and my mom, she's got an awesome job with the Murray City. So I'm done with school. School's not for everyone, and that's okay. I realized that after I got mine. Well, actually, I realized that during it, but I was like, I gotta get it. Work, right now I'm an office manager. I am still trying to figure out what I want to do with work. Right now I'm leaning towards social media and like social media manager and stuff. So I'm still figuring that out. I'm still figuring out myself, which I think we all are, but I'm excited for the journey I'm on. Planning a wedding, so hopefully next year. Thank you. And hopefully I have a new house to move into next year. So like there's a lot of exciting things in the works. I don't have anything set in stone yet, but I'm ready for the journey and where life takes me.
What have you learned about yourself in this, not just this session, but in life up to this point?
That I am really resilient, and that I am just really optimistic. I know some people kind of see that as like it can be kind of like a negative thing, because I do always look for the good in every situation and every person, even if that person has done me wrong so many times. I still I know you can be such a good person. I've seen it, and I always hold on to that, which can sometimes burn you. So about me, I know I'm really resilient. I care about a lot of people, so I have a really big heart. And I know I really care about people, and I just want the best. And yeah.
I love it. And so then the second question is, what do you hope the audience learns about you, who you are, and yeah.
Well, I hope the audience learns that no matter what life throws at you, you can always come out on the other side better than what you were, better than what the situation gave you. and you can always just like push through. You don't have to sit there and be like, oh, poor me, and play the victim. You can be like, well, how can I make this better for myself? And I hope you guys can see that as someone who went through so much at a young age, that you don't have to hold on to that. You can use it to become better. So I hope I inspire them to just kind of hold on to hope if they're going through a hard time, that it will get better for them. There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
I love it. Thank you, KayDee, for joining us today on the show. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your story. There's a lot of essence to you, and hopefully we can get you back. And if there's anyone who have any questions or comments, they can ask. Is that okay? Okay. So thank you everyone for joining the show. We just learned about who is KayDee Rowland, and we are grateful for her and her story. And if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. Hit some comments down below so that we can get KayDee back on the show. If you want her, ask her, and then we can dive a little bit deeper into her story. But thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you, Vlad.
Thank you. You're welcome.